How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
First, I want to say thank you for what y'all are doing.
Thank you.
I always like a good conversation. I also like put on the Old Spice. I just want to that Democrats and Republicans can agree on. They got the best singers.
Yeah, totally.
So I also wanted to talk about the trans debate. So do you guys acknowledge that trans people exist in society in today's world?
Yeah, I acknowledge that they exist. I just think they're wrong. Just try to lean into it a little bit. We want to make sure you hear, everybody hears you. So I acknowledge that they exist. Like there are people in this world who think that they are the opposite sex, and I just think they're wrong.
Do you think that throughout history, throughout history, there's been trans people documented in ancient societies, in Mayan societies, in ancient societies in China? Do you think that those are also wrong?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there have been people who dressed up as the opposite sex and thought they were the opposite sex all throughout human history, but that doesn't change the fact that they're wrong. There have been people who are wrong all throughout human history. It's been a consistent fact. If there's one thing humans are good at, it's being wrong. And
objectively
these
wrong.
People are wrong. Yeah. And it's not. And when I say wrong, I don't mean they're morally wrong.
Yeah.
I mean they're just factually incorrect.
What about it do you think is factually incorrect?
The fact that a man cannot be a woman, or a woman cannot be a man. A woman is an adult human female. A female is defined as of or denoting the sex capable of producing ova. Men cannot produce ova, and therefore they cannot be female or woman.
But why do you I mean, disrespectful. Y'all have different opinions than me, and I don't care.
Totally.
Right? Why do you care if someone else decides to define themselves as a female if they're a male, or define themselves as a male if they're a female?
Yeah, so I think that adults should be allowed to do whatever they want with their own bodies. My only issue is when it starts affecting other people's bodies with bathrooms and sports and stuff like that. But that's a whole nother conversation. The reason that I have an issue with it, or I take objection, is because I have a fervent loyalty to the truth, and I think that I should not be forced to tell a lie for the satisfaction of another person. If I want to tell a lie for the satisfaction of another person, that's my choice, but I should never be forced to do that.
White men are statistically more likely to commit sexual acts of violence against young people, especially in bathrooms. It's a lot less likely than trans people, so why are you targeting?
But both are problems. I stand against rape too. I think that I almost think that rape is as bad as murder. Right? I think, if I believed in the death penalty, I might consider it for rapists. I don't believe in the death penalty.
Castrate them and hang them.
But especially child rapists, right? And this
exactly.
It's not something that's absent in my discussion. I talk about this often. I think that rapists are terrible, and I don't care who's doing it. White men, black men, Mexican men, white women, black women, I don't care, because women do assault men, and men are just very unlikely to report it because, honestly, who wants to be the guy who came out and said he got raped by a woman? It's terrible, right? I think that we should encourage men to come out, but it's just difficult for men because we have a different complex in our head. But with that being said, yeah, both are bad, and I think that they're, I don't know. If a transgender person rapes somebody, bad. If a white man rapes somebody, bad. And they're equally as bad. One's not worse than the other. It's just they're both problems, and but they're separate problems. They need to be addressed separately.
And I want to say that the duty that the government has to you and I is to provide us public safety. So whether that is a white man causing the problem or a transgender individual, the reason why I have a social contract with the government and to give them and forfeit any of my individual liberties is to provide me with some sort of public safety in return. So whether that individual is a white man or a transgender, obviously with a transgender individual, that is policy that is allowing that to happen in the first place. We've seen that in North Carolina 10 years ago or so. So policy is driving this in the first place. So that's why we have a problem with it. We're not obsessed with the topic or any of that stuff.
Can you acknowledge that being trans doesn't make them a rapist?
Okay. David, hold the fort down. I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, absolutely. What'd you say? Sorry.
Can you agree that just being trans does not make them
Absolutely. That's, I think, the biggest fight that Cam and I have is against the idea of stereotyping people, right? I'm an individual. Just because I wear a MAGA hat doesn't associate me with certain stereotypes that you may have about MAGA, right? So just because an individual is transgender doesn't mean right away that they'll assault somebody in the bathroom or something, right? What I'm bringing awareness to is, one, there have been examples of it. It's in places like Virginia, for example. The entire governor race was one topic. The fact that a middle school allowed this to happen and then try to hide it by allowing some policy like that to happen in the first place. So
So I grew up around a lot of trans people. I had a friend when I was little named Max. When he was 8, he tried to kill himself, right? Tried to do it again when he was 7. And we would have pool parties, we would hang out with him, and he would tell us stories. He would say, I'm a girl. I'm like, nah, I'm looking at you, you're a boy. He's like, nah, I'm a girl. After trying to kill himself twice and telling his parents about this over and over and over again, he was able to get gender affirming care and have hormone
Treatment, therapy.
Yeah. And now is a beautiful young woman, is in college right now. I'm just wondering what about that instance, why you're against Max being able to go through that care and get that care quite literally saved his life. I don't know how many times he would have tried to attempt suicide again.
Sure. Again, we don't have any long-term studies for this, so I don't know what's going to happen with Max.
So there's the American Psychological Association, there's the National Institute of Health, and there's the American Pediatric Society. There's also
Can you tell me who funds those studies?
And Cambridge University. Sorry?
Can you tell me who funds those studies?
No, I cannot.
Okay, so the study that you're quoting, especially the first one, was done by a company called Arbar. Arbar makes hormone-suppressing drugs. You know what they also do? They're owned by Pfizer. So Pfizer is the beneficial of Arbar. You can look it up, ARBOR. Pfizer takes their own drugs and pays for studies to be done by their own people. And you can look it up. I forgot his name. It's Dr. Jack Turner. He sits on I forgot the psychiatric name for it, but he's an individual that is contracted through Pfizer. He conducts the studies for Pfizer's drugs, who come out and say that 99% of all transition surgeries, especially after you take hormone-suppressing drugs, are effective and are positive and have led to good things. So when you have Big Pharma funding the studies for their own prescription drugs, and then they come out with a conclusion that 99% of individuals feel better after taking the drugs and having the surgery, I'm going to question that.
Can you give me a study that goes against it?
Yeah, Mayo. So now I can actually give you a study that goes against it because, again, there's no long-term studies for this. We're only going to know in about 20, 30 years. But what we do know is after surgery, after taking whatever drugs for 8 years, the 8th year is when individuals who've done through all of this are more likely to commit suicide.
I believe the American Pediatric Association study.
That's the one where Jack Turner sits on their board. And again, I just want to explain to you how the process works.
Done by hundreds of scientists and peer
It's led by
scientists across the world and multiple associations. It was funded by a few parties, but the scientists were outside of those parties. I understand that's where the money comes
but
from.
Those that's a problem, right? That there's interest there.
Like big pharma is a problem with a lot of stuff. But the scientists themselves are individual people that range from many different organizations around the world. The scientists aren't the money. The money just comes from them.
I wouldn't have a problem with that if the scientists weren't directly tied to the big pharma companies like Dr. Jack Turner, who is the leader of the GHCA products in the first place, prescription studies on them.
So you believe that?
I don't believe it's actually well documented. That's the problem I have,
I
right?
believe that it needs to be better.
Yeah, it needs to be independent, right? If you can show me an independent study that is not led by anybody that's attached to Big Pharma that conclude that the prescription drugs do help individuals after having the transgender surgery, that they somehow help, absolutely, I'll agree with you, but that's not the case. And the reason why I know that's not the case is because of the 8th year after surgery. Wouldn't you think that that wouldn't be the case after the 8th year?
Oxford University and Cambridge University.
I advise you to go see who is funding those studies and who's conducting those studies. It's not just a point of who's funding them, but who's also conducting them. Because again, what was the first one? The American Psychiatric...
American Psychology Association.
Yeah.
And also the National Institute of Health.
Yeah, so Dr. Jack Turner, who previously worked with Pfizer, sits on the committee there. So that's a problem, right? Yeah, I mean, like, we can agree on that, right? We want transparency, we want independent studies, and we want long-term studies. Maybe we can have this discussion when that happens.
Yeah, I just feel like, well, my standpoint on it is, studies or not, is that trans people exist in our society and they have for millions of years, thousands of years. So there's what I've seen. I don't want to like generalize, but what I've seen is people just saying no, it's wrong, it can't be true. We're trying to find evidence to state that, but it's a real thing that happens in our society and has happened for thousands of years. And I think that's interesting. I think that needs to be looked into.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a real phenomenon. Okay. I think it's definitely a real phenomenon. I think it definitely happens. I've missed a lot of what you guys were talking about.
I'm sorry,
sure,
but I really do
bathroom.
appreciate how civil it was.
Yeah,
I have to
I
pee
do
so
too. Yeah,
badly.
thank you so much for coming up and being civil. And again, that goes for everybody who's here. Thanks for coming and being respectful of not only my voice but also whoever's standing at the mic.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, so I would just say like it's definitely a real phenomenon. It definitely happens, but I would just say that the people who believe it are wrong.
He's trying to wave him down.
Like I said earlier, the definition of a woman is an adult human female, and female is of or denoting the sex capable of producing ova.
So the story that I gave him was that I had a friend of mine, Max, when he was 8 years old, tried to kill himself twice. We would have pool parties with him, and he would state to us how he was like, I'm a girl. I'm like, no, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, just sit here. You can still talk.
After attempting suicide twice and telling his parents about it, he had the hormone therapy and the gender-affirming care, which led him to now, like before puberty. So now she's a beautiful young woman.
Yeah.
And that quite literally saved her life. And that's a real phenomenon that happens countless times. The people who go through, there's like something like 90% of the, I don't have the exact number, but it's like 90% of people who go through with full hormone therapy do it out of life-saving conditions, which means suicidal thoughts or suicidal conditions.
Yeah, I would say,
also
as a person who's formerly been suicidal, I totally understand and empathize with somebody who's suicidal. I just don't think the solution that we generally carry out for these people is the correct solution. I don't think it's the solution that helps them the most.
What do you think? What do you think the correct solution is? Because
I think the correct solution is figuring out a medical answer for this that is not affirming their mental illness, and it is a mental. Like when I was suicidal, I'm perfectly open and willing to say I was suicidal because I was mentally ill. I think there was something causing that mental illness. It was the medication the doctors who didn't know anything about me put me on, but I was mentally ill for sure, extremely mentally ill, and I wanted to kill myself. It's the only time in my life I've actually wanted to kill myself, and that's because I was mentally ill. And so I think that there might not be a pill or a medication right now that solves this issue, but I think that we should strive towards one and figure it out so that we can actually help these people and not affirm their mental illness and make their situation worse.
We're going to be I got to head out. But
thanks for coming up, man. I appreciate it.
Hey guys,
Hi.
I just have one kind of question. Do you think that like medication should be for profit, like we see with Big Pharma? Especially, I know in the insulin industry, I can tell you're a diabetic. My twin's a diabetic too, type 1. Yeah. And
Called out,
I know
Jose.
the big issue here in America is we actually pay 40%.
Yeah, here, let
So
Jose sit in there.
I know you would probably get this more than I would. I'm not a diabetic, but my twin is. So I wonder, what are your takes, especially being a diabetic, on this whole?
I want to say something real quick, and then I'll just throw it over to Jose. So my position on for-profit medication is that I think that it needs to be for-profit. I think that otherwise we're not going to have the medical advancements capable. Like you guys probably wouldn't have these if it wasn't for for-profit medicine. Yeah. And you would have probably any treatment for diabetes, because there was a time in history where there was no treatment for diabetes. Without incentive-driven by profit, you wouldn't have those things. I think there is an issue with big pharma in this country, a big issue, and I don't think that issue is for-profit medicine. I think that issue is the government saying, okay, here's 4 pharmaceutical companies that we like. We're just going to line their pockets and give them millions, if not billions of dollars during COVID. Not just during COVID, I'm saying billions during COVID. Millions of dollars every single year, and make it impossible for anybody to compete with them. We effectively do not have capitalism in the United States on the global scale, on the national scale, because all of those companies, whether they're pharmaceutical companies or they're tech companies, are protected, propped up, and essentially enforced by the U.S. government. And I think that's the problem we have to solve. It's effectively national socialism.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said. As a diabetic who's had it for 5 years now, coming up on 6, it's amazing to see the advancements in technology with diabetes, because I used to have to prick myself and do all this other kinds of stuff that was really just tedious and annoying. And so I like the money that goes into the research for that. When it comes to insulin, I do agree it's very expensive. I've been blessed to have a father who his insurance covers a lot of the pricing for my insulin.
Bring Chick-fil-A for us?
But the hard reality is that as soon as I'm off of that, which is going to be in like about 2 months. I'm about to be 26.
No. I can't. I have a retainer in, but I was like,
I'm going to
film
find
this.
my
This is
own.
awesome.
And there's a lot of insurance companies out there that, yes, they might be able to cover.
Yeah.
But it's not going to help
Let's go.
in the long run for me, because I feel like unless I find a stable enough job, which I mean, as you know, with the current market economy, it's very hard to do that.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to be able to support myself with my insulin and all these. Not even just the insulin. These supplies are also very expensive. 3 months supply
I like that you did that. I
for
saw
the
that.
Omnipod and the
All right, I'm
sensor
gonna get
come
back
out
to the
to like over $3,000, and that's just for 3 months, which is absolutely ridiculous. And so I just feel like I really can't tell you the exact solution yet because I've had to really think about it. But I feel like there needs to be an easier way for people to be able to afford this kind of stuff. Now I don't know really the exact solution. I would have to think about that more. Because I mean, and not just here in the U.S. I just came back from Egypt, and it's even harder for them to get access to insulin and stuff like that. So I just feel like there needs to be some kind of solution that makes it more accessible for these kinds of people who struggle with this disease. And I don't see it as a curse. I see it as a blessing. I feel like it's a hardship that I need to overcome in my life, and so I definitely do think that there needs to be some kind of solution to how to make this more accessible for people. How maybe bring more companies out. To have competition, so that it's not just like you said, just 4 private companies that we have to that we have to compete for and stuff like that. So I feel like bringing about more companies for the competitive market to be better, to make it more accessible for people. I feel like that's a pretty good solution to start with. I do also know that they're making advances right now, specifically to come out with a pancreas that you still have to eat on the diet that diabetics need to, but it makes it you don't have to carry around these things. You have to get every 3 months new supplies and new insulin. So I feel like putting more money into these kinds of research to make this kinds of things come out to make it easier for us to where we don't have to every 3 months or every month have to buy more supplies and more insulin will also make it easier for people like me to not have to worry about those kinds of things for sure. I think we need to just pump more money into those research so that they can also come up with a solution faster.
Right, I completely agree with that. I think it tends to be or needs to be more research rather than actual aspects. So,
Exactly.
thank you guys.
Yeah, of course. No,
I appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming up. I appreciate it a lot.
My name is Cameron, and I want to know your thoughts on universal health care.
Hi, Cameron. I'm Cameron as well.
It's only right Cameron's battle it out.
Yeah, right. Cameron's battled out. Yeah. I don't think that there should be universal health care. I'd like to hear why you think there should be.
I think there should be because pretty much every other country has universal health care. So I don't understand why America can't, because we're making a lot of money off of taxes, right?
Yeah, but I would never say, in the 1700s, if I was a new and emerging country, I wouldn't say, David, every country in the world is doing slavery. Why aren't we doing it? What the hell? Come on, man. We need to do slavery.
That's an objectively bad thing.
Right. But what I'm pointing out is the fallacy that just because everybody else does something doesn't mean that it's good or you should do it.
You're right about that. But I'm just saying, can we agree that universal health care would be a good thing, just on its own?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
I don't. Yeah.
Look at Italy.
I think that there's only one situation where you have a positive right. You know what a positive right is? Like a right where somebody else owes you something, where somebody else has to work for you to have something, and that positive right is parental obligation.
We pretty much all pay taxes, right?
Right.
So why can't we get something basic like that?
What do you mean? Like the government pay for everybody's medicine?
Why can't healthcare be a right?
Yeah, right. So everybody, so like
I mean, we live in
protection.
a first world country and people are dying of preventable diseases.
Well, it's
so,
not a
like,
right.
to be totally
the only human right is the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, I would like basically think that. So basically, this is where my morals come from. Is like, I don't think that anybody has a positive right except a child to their parent. I think that a child has a positive right to be taken care of by their parent. However, my morality comes from the non-aggression principle. I think that you have the right not to be unjustly aggressed upon. I think that encompasses all rights that you should have. They're all negative rights. So David cannot unjustly aggress me. If he does unjustly aggress me, I have the right to justly aggress him back in self-defense. If David steals from me, I have the same because his theft is aggression. I don't believe that people should be allowed to attack me without reprisal or without defense from me. And I don't think anything outside of that should be considered a legal right. Particularly not people working for you to basically provide you with what you
Like I
want.
said, it's not a handout because people pay taxes.
It is a handout.
No, if you pay taxes.
Not everybody
that
pays
money-
taxes.
Okay, most people pay taxes.
Can you give me an example of a successful example of universal health
And
care?
also the
being
majority of the
implemented?
beneficiaries,
France-
Japan, South Korea.
What is
the
the
majority of
population
beneficiaries
size?
are
So
always people who don't pay taxes.
We have so many people and we have so much money in this country. We're one of the richest countries in the world. So
We have
everything else is
350 million people. It's a little bit different when compared to, like, let's say Sweden is the best example people use for universal healthcare. They make it work pretty nicely, but guess what? It's 6 million people that live there. Israel's relatively the same thing. It's about 8 million or so people. We're talking about something completely
There are more
different.
people making money. I think it's more sustainable.
Also,
than making
the,
it up.
the government is extremely inefficient with everything they do. Like, Canada has universal health care, for example, but you might be sitting in the waiting room for 6 hours with a
Bingo.
broken arm. Like,
That's better than nothing, right?
wait, no.
No.
It's
You
better,
have-
you're right. It is better than nothing, but you know what it's not better than? Market-based healthcare. Because when you go to the emergency room here, you get a room immediately. You don't sit in the waiting room for 6 hours with a broken arm, and that's
If you
because
can
we have a
afford it.
market-based healthcare system.
Not if you can afford it. It happens regardless.
No, yeah. So, by the way, it's not if you can afford it, because it's been law in the United States since the 1980s that a hospital cannot turn somebody down because they think that they cannot pay for something or they don't have the financial means to pay for something. You treat them and you bill them after. You don't even talk about money until you treat them. That is current U.S. federal law.
And we
But
all
then
know
you can go to
Grady.
jail for getting sick. Why should somebody go to prison or jail for
Wait,
getting
who goes to jail for getting sick?
If you get billed and you can't pay the bill,
You might end up on
You are given something that costs money, and therefore, because you are the beneficiary of that thing, obviously you should have to pay for it.
that's not in your control, especially if it's like a child, right?
Okay, if I get in a car accident, like
Huh?
I strongly agree with you guys because where I'm from in India, they make you pay before, and if you don't have the money, you refuse to care.
yeah, it's
Wow.
crazy.
It's not a good example. And if you want to get free medical care, you have to take it to a medical institution, which is owned by the government. But that's for young doctors to learn on you. So that's
Nah, you don't want that.
yeah.
Can I
and
just
it's
say?
also run by the government of India. I'm not saying they're bad, but it's a huge populated country. So you can guess how bad it's going to turn out.
And how inefficient it is. But you know Grady, right? I'm sure everybody here knows Grady. We're 1 mile away from Grady Hospital. Grady's the hospital,
thought it was
right?
a person.
You know Grady.
Oh, it's Grady.
Grady.
That's Grady right there. You see
Yeah,
Grady?
yeah,
Oh, there we go.
We're all looking at Grady. Do you know how Grady operates? Let's say I don't want to say you, let's say somebody has a kidney failure. They have no money, can't do anything about it, no insurance whatsoever. They go to Grady. Grady is fully funded by donations. They get in line, they have their operation, they get 2 months, 3 months, or whatever it is. They have their operation for free. They don't get a single bill from there. My parents' friends had heart surgery, couldn't afford it whatsoever, didn't have insurance. He went to Grady, had his surgery 2 months later, didn't see a single bill. Why? This is your example of universal health care.
And by the way, in the United States,
Every
while we
state
might not
has
have
that.
universal health care, what we do have is Medicare and Medicaid.
There
so
you
the
go.
old people and the poorest don't pay for their health care.
You know what? I
Right?
think Grady Hospital is great, but not every state has access to something like that, and that's why I think it's.
Wait, every state has Medicare and Medicaid. Every
Yeah.
state's a federal
I'm talking
program.
about a hospital like that.
Every
But-
single
but
state
every-
has that, though.
but
a
every
lot of
single state.
hospitals are privatized.
Sure, but every single state, if I'm not wrong, there's at least one, if not two. I believe it's two, actually, but I believe there's one state that has one. That's why I say that. But every single state has, I keep saying it, at least one or two of these. When you're looking at it.
And every state has Medicare and Medicaid to ensure
Yeah.
that the elderly and the poorest of people don't pay for their health care. The only people who pay for their health care are the people that have money.
That's great, but that building right there is not run by the government, is it?
No, it's donations.
I know
It's
what you're-
state
It
run,
shouldn't
it's
be up to
donations.
donations. The government should take care of its people, right?
Sure,
Yeah, I
but
disagree.
What is the government for then? What is the
public
government?
safety. So I have
You're talking
individual
about
liberties.
safety.
I have a social contract with the government that I forfeit some individual liberties. In exchange, I get public safety. I'm not guaranteed universal health care because of that. Like, I'm not going to guarantee you a job because we have some social contract or whatever. The role of the government, in my opinion, is to provide me public safety. Sometimes it fails to do so, like with the ATF.
So safety doesn't include preventing someone from dying from cancer.
You don't. Wait, hold up. Having universal health care doesn't prevent people from dying from cancer because
They can at least get treatment.
once again, you cannot be denied treatment in the United States when you go to the hospital. You have to be treated. You're just going to be stuck with the bill afterwards. So having universal health care in the United States physically would not save anyone's life. The system we currently have saves people's lives because the hospitals are not allowed legally. They would go to jail for denying people health care because they felt they didn't have the means to pay them back, right? You're just stuck with the bill after. That's it. Nobody dies due to lack of health care in the United States. The only people that die in the United States are the people who, like, are either dead on the spot or choose not to go to the hospital.
And also the whole, they can't afford it and stuff like that. We just go back to the Affordable Care Act. We go to Medicaid, Medicare. There are various social safety net programs. Okay, Medicaid, let's say all the health services were cut by $800 billion for the next 10 years. That's $80 billion over every single year. Do you know how much fraud there is in those programs? In Medicaid alone, there's $60 billion of fraud every single year. So when we remove $80 billion from their funding, guess what we can do with that $80 billion every year? Maybe create various agencies to help, whatever the case may be. But that's just the reality of it. We're not cutting Medicaid. Like nobody's going to wake up in the morning.
The bill, by the way, doesn't say we're cutting $80 billion from Medicaid. It says we're going to remove fraud.
Yeah.
People are just estimating that there will be $80 billion worth of fraud. That's why you're hearing $80 billion.
Why would people?
Don't ask me. The experts you're citing think there's $80 billion of fraud because Trump said, I'm going to cut fraud. And they said, yup, it's going to be $80 billion a year.
It's the government
not me
accountability
saying
office.
that. Yeah. So also another thing you can do is because it's not a hard and fast cut, they're not saying we're cutting $80 billion from Medicaid, is you could even take that $80 billion that we're going towards fraud and put it back into Medicaid and not do fraud with it. You know what I mean? Or not do ineffective, inefficient things, because I also think our healthcare system is very inefficient, especially the government-run wing.
Very inefficient. And one last thing I want you to think about is a lot of people that are recipients of the Affordable Care Act are actually Trump supporters. So why would Trump shoot his own supporters in the foot? I want you to imagine a Trump supporter wakes up in the morning and is suddenly, hey, why am I not getting $400? I'm getting $200. Oh, this is directly tied to Trump. Why would conservatives do this? Why would the Republican Party do that? They don't do that. They don't think. They're elected officials. Sorry, I have bad hearing. But come on, just common sense.
Just to save money. When they're cutting things like Medicaid and Medicare, it's so these institutions can save money.
But what if it's fraud, right? Like we know that it's fraud. What if it's whatever amount of fraud and we're just eliminating that fraud? Do you agree with that?
If it's fraud, why are there so many disabled veterans not getting health care?
Hey, what was that?
If there's fraud, why is there so many disabled veterans not getting health care?
Because the VA sucks. VA sucks. That's your universal health care.
Yeah, exactly. The VA is literally universal health care. It's government-run health care.
You've made our point.
The American Medical Association. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. It's a cartel.
We can't. Nobody is going to be just get in line, bro. I know you've been talking on the sideline. Get in line.
We need better veterans health care. I think we need better universal. Can you at least agree we need better veterans health care then?
I think that veterans should be able to absolutely access way better health care. Absolutely. I think that the program should be much more efficient and actually treat American veterans.
Here's what the veteran should get is the government should say, basically, you served this country and you served your country until you retired, and obviously having health care is one of the benefits of having served your country. Okay. Instead of doing it through VA government-run institutions, VA hospitals, VA doctors, give them the money they need to go get treated at a private facility and allow them to get effective treatment. My mother's a veteran. She's an Air Force veteran. You know how she's right now actively, still to this day, struggling to get her benefits. She can't get them, right? So, I totally agree with you that veterans need better healthcare, but I don't think
it's a problem under this administration. You can admit that.
It's a problem under every administration. Yeah, it's a problem under every administration. And I'm not a monolith. I don't agree with Trump on everything, but I don't think that. I think Trump has done a lot to he's increased the VA budget. He's also increased the VA budget under when COVID was happening, and he gave them a ton of money. It was one of the first things he did. He just pumped a ton of money into the VA because he knew that the VA would get hit the hardest during COVID. And
the amount of people that are not covered by it, I believe Biden administration actually did a pretty good job of extending it to individuals that were impacted by the pit burns in Iraq. Trump's executive order actually made it possible for everybody. So if you are a veteran in 2020, for example, you are now qualified for it.
Yeah, I think we just need to make it not government run and basically give them the money or the resources they need to get treatment and just let them go to a private hospital and not some inefficiently run. Be like, ever been to the DMV? It's I would declare war on the DMV. Yeah. I hate the DMV, and that is the most perfect example of a horribly run government institution. Is the VA or sorry the DMV?
Why?
Oh my God! Because nobody wants to do their job at the DMV.
Oh, that's true.
And because they all get paid nothing, and they have no managers, and they just sit oh my Lord.
I think we all hate
Yeah.
the DMV here. Has anybody had a good time at the DMV before?
Anybody had a fun time at the DMV?
Yeah.
Okay.
One time, you gotta go one time. That's it.
No, one time, bro. They said, all right, we don't really know what to do here. Come back in
Yeah.
a couple days.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they do the same thing. Come back in a couple days. Come back in a couple days. Okay.
For my
Hey,
tips.
Exactly.
Can we talk about gun control?
That's insane.
I heard
Sure.
So, why do you think anybody should be able to own an assault rifle? Just
What is an assault rifle?
like,
Kill somebody with it.
like
That's every gun.
Yeah.
like an AR-15.
Yeah, I don't think an AR-15 is an assault rifle. It's not created for assault. It's made for civilian use specifically. Armalite made it as a civilian rifle. It's meant for civilians.
Okay, what is the military use? What is
The military uses M4s.
Military grade
Okay,
weapons.
Huh? An M4?
Can people buy M4s?
They can't right now. I think they should be allowed to.
Okay,
I
but
think they should too.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, we don't agree on shit.
Can I ask you what prompted
Tanks, too.
the question regarding gun reform? Do you believe there's not enough gun reform?
yeah. Listen, I believe in the Second Amendment, but I think there should be more gun reform.
And what would you like exactly?
Because this country has so much history with guns, and it'd be impossible to take guns from everybody or
I agree.
I
do
think.
anything like that. So I just think we need reform. We need better background checks. We need better things like that.
Well, I think. We already have background checks when you buy a
we
gun,
need more
and a lot
extensive
of.
background checks. The people with mental health
What
issues
would you
are
like
getting
to
guns.
see?
You can't check for mental illness, right? And also because you have a mental illness doesn't mean you shouldn't be allowed to own guns. You can't start taking people's rights away just because they're mentally ill. So like you have to demonstrate that you've done
I
something.
kind of disagree. I
You
think
have to-
somebody who's like a schizophrenic, somebody who's
Not all schizophrenics are violent. And also, if I have ADHD, what am I mentally ill now? Can transgender people not possess firearms? You can't just say, oh, this person has a mental illness. They can't. Oh, now we're going to take their rights away, right? What's next? Speech? They're not allowed to talk anymore. Oh, the schizophrenics are annoying. Take their speech away.
Okay,
like
like
I don't know.
a
It's just
mental
it's just
illness that
extreme,
could cause
slippery
somebody to be
slope.
violent.
What about smoking weed?
But also what
I think that should be legal.
You should be illegal?
Yeah, it should be legal.
Legal?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I
if you
just want to say something real quick before we move over to marijuana.
No,
I just
but
wanna say on
that's
gun
the gun
control.
guns.
Yeah, no, I don't. As it relates to gun control, if you believe in the Second Amendment, James Madison, the author of the Constitution, not only believed that the Second Amendment should cover firearms, and they had firearms, like high rate of firearms, the puckle gun, the belt and flintlock, but on top of that, James Madison personally wrote a letter that approved people to have cannons. I think we should
I was bringing it back.
get the cannons.
What did Biden say? We can own
I mean, the country's
F-16s?
different than it was back then. They didn't have school shootings back then.
They had the Boston Massacre.
That's way
Shaking your leg. But anyway, like, yeah, so it doesn't matter. Like, just because you have school shootings doesn't mean you can't have guns, right? Like, I could stab David. Right, well, hold up, real quick. I don't think that means you should restrict guns. I can stab David right now with my kitchen knife, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't be allowed to have knives in my kitchen, or that I should have the ATF breathing down my shoulder because I have knives in my kitchen.
Okay, that's not a fair comparison because we can
Totally
both
it
know
is.
that guns are strong. Guns are way
What'd he say?
more.
Didn't Trump freeload there?
Guns are way more.
It was Kodak Black and ASAP Rocky. That's what it was.
He did free ASAP Rocky.
I think he
freed a lot of them.
Pardoned Lil Wayne, yeah.
He freed a lot of rappers.
Has anybody with a knife by themselves killed 17 people?
I don't know about 17 people. I don't know the exact number, but they've killed multiple people. We've had that happen a couple days ago in
Okay,
the
but the
UK.
numbers we see with gun violence are way higher than anything with knife violence.
I think UK, France, and
that's
Germany
literally
would
not true.
disagree.
You're advocating that assault rifles be banned, but there are literally more people killed by multiples in this country every single year. If you look at Table 8 of the FBI's Universal Crime Reporting Database, there is more homicide by knife in this country than there are by rifles, and that includes the AR-15. In fact, there are more people killed in this country every single year with bare hands than there are killed with rifles. There are more people killed with blunt objects every single year in this country than there are people killed with rifles, but you want to ban those rifles despite the fact that they account for the least amount of homicide.
Well, what you just said is kind of obvious because not everyone has access to rifles. Not everybody can afford rifles, so that's different. Of course, there's going to be more violence.
So how much more reform do you need?
Yeah, right.
If
I get it.
you just said it, right? It's not too many people. I disagree with that. There's 400, right? 400 million.
Yeah, if you want a rifle, you can get one.
Yeah, you can get one, but kind of made our point there.
Again, I still don't get why anyone needs me.
Why? What?
I think it could be lots of. I don't get why you need a camera. Why do you need a camera? Why is it?
Because I like to take pictures.
Because you like to take pictures. I like to shoot guns. I also like to feel protected, and my family likes to feel protected. They are used to kill people sometimes. They're also used to kill deers. They're used to kill tyrants. They're used to kill people who want to do you harm.
Okay,
And
so
that's why
then
people should be allowed to have them. But ultimately, me liking having a gun is a sufficient reason for me to be allowed to have guns. We're free in this country. I'm not infringing on anybody's rights by possessing a firearm. I like to go to the range and shoot.
Well, some people do.
Some people do what? Some people do, and those people should be in jail or dead.
Okay, but you can't just say that after they've already done those things.
Right, but the
They've
gun
done things
didn't
that
do
can't
it.
be
They
undone.
chose to do it, not the gun. The gun doesn't shoot itself. Again, like, I'm going to go tomorrow, I'm going to go back home, and I'm going to load my gun, and I'm going to put it on my porch and see if it shoots anybody that walks by. Guarantee it won't.
Okay, well let's think of another first world country. I believe Japan has over 300 million people, 200, 300 million people. They have less than 10 gun deaths a year. Why do we have tens of thousands of them?
Culture.
Yeah, and so
Culture.
that culture should change. If it's resulting
I
in tens of thousands.
could not, I literally could not agree with you more. The culture in the United States needs to change, not the rights that you possess. You shouldn't take people's guns away, you need to change the culture, which is very difficult, but that's how you need to do it.
Can I just ask real quick, are law-abiding citizens the ones that are committing these crimes?
That's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna say about what about the guns that are not really bought or in the market illegally or made illegally?
The majority of guns that are crimes are committed with handguns.
Crimes are
Yeah.
due to guns that are not licensed properly or given in through proper channels, right?
I don't even think your guns should be licensed properly, but hey, here we are. Like either way, like it just goes to show that your gun control ultimately doesn't work. People are still going to get guns. They're still going to kill people with those guns, and you're not going to be able to stop it. The best solution is having somebody else with a gun.
Listen to this. I have a statistic. According to the National Institute of Justice, 77% of mass shootings are committed with a weapon obtained illegally.
You mean Fauci
Okay.
Institute of Health? Fauci Institute of Health?
But that doesn't change the fact that you're still more likely to get struck by lightning in the United States than you are to be shot and killed by a rifle, including an AR-15.
That doesn't mean people.
Again,
should
you're
be
more
shot.
likely. I'm more likely to like David is more likely to get strangled by somebody's hands or kicked to death than he is to be killed with a rifle, regardless of who you are. You're more likely to be killed with a knife. You're more likely to be killed with a blunt object. Rifles are last on the list. I think
that's
shotguns might be
That's
ahead.
irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant because earlier you said that the majority of people are killed by automatic rifles, assault rifles. You started this conversation by advocating that we ban assault rifles.
You can't
But
stop
almost
somebody
nobody
from,
gets killed by
you know,
assault rifles. Less
using
than
their
300 a
hands to
year.
kill somebody, but you can't stop somebody from getting a gun.
Sure you can. You can ban their hands. There we go.
Okay, that obviously doesn't make sense.
No, I would say it obviously doesn't make sense to ban rifles.
Yes, it does.
Does it make sense to ban knives?
Okay, like I said, let me restate again. I didn't say to ban guns. I said we need reform.
Does it make sense to reform knives or reform hands?
Knives are less dangerous than guns
Knives account for more homicide every year than
because
guns.
they're easier to access.
Okay.
So what do we do? Okay, perfect. They're easier to access. What do we do about the knives now?
We don't need to restrict knives.
Well, if they're
Why?
easier
They
to
commit
access,
crimes to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're easier to access. Clearly, people have too much access to knives in this country. You know, they're committing.
Ban my kitchen knife.
What is it? I think it's 3 times more homicide with knives than it is with rifles. If there's too much access to knives, we should just ban them.
Beautiful.
do
It's
you
much easier to conceal it.
Way easier to conceal it than a rifle. Again, if I walked onto this campus with an AR-15, everybody'd be,
Yeah.
what is that guy doing? Why does he have a rifle on this campus?
You might get shot first.
But a knife or a handgun, I can just put in my belt and nobody would know it's there.
But that's not going to be used in mass killings. Knives are not going to be used.
How about
by
this?
one person to commit a
If
mass
I wanted,
killing
you
because
know,
the
the
police
best
are gonna
way,
shoot them.
the best way to kill a lot of people is to pull a fire alarm and run everybody over with your car. Do we ban cars? Because I promise you that if you ban firearms, bad people, disgusting and ill people are going to think of way better ways to kill people than with guns. Way more disgusting ways and ways that kill way more people than guns will.
Like they did, I don't even want to go to Israel, never mind. Like I experienced real, bombings, right? When there's no guns, there's no knives, that's probably what's going to end up happening. Oh, not the knives, sorry. When you start to restrict the guns, they're going to go, listen, mentally ill people that have been radicalized to commit whatever crime there is, they're going to find the weapon to do it regardless of the laws. They're already breaking the law in the first place. Just because you're restricting their ability to access gun isn't going to stop them from wanting to commit that. So at what point do we stop talking about the gun part and we actually start to talk about the person?
But I think statistics show that since so many guns used in mass shootings are obtained illegally, it would make a difference if we have gun reform. And another thing, there's
What
less,
kind of
listen,
reform?
there's-
I'm open
we
to
have
it.
proof that it works because there's less gun
But
violence in
wait,
blue
but
states.
your statistic is an admission in and of itself, right? So you're advocating for gun reform because you think that it would stop mass shootings, but you said yourself
No, we would
70%.
reduce them. You can't completely stop
70%
them.
of all
Like
mass
you said, there's over
shootings.
400 million guns in the country. You can't fully stop
You said
them. But
seven-
You can lower them.
70% of
As
all
we've
mass
done in
shootings.
places like California.
Sure, you said that 70% of all mass shootings are carried out with legal
77.
weapons. 77. So what does that mean? That means that over 20%, almost a quarter of all mass shootings are done with legally obtained weapons. So clearly it didn't stop the illegally obtained weapons. So clearly it didn't stop those people. Your own statistic is an admission that it doesn't work because almost a quarter of all of the shootings that happen are illegally obtained firearms.
You're comparing 23% to 77%.
No, I'm not comparing 23% to 77%. What I'm saying is that the 23% is an obvious, glaring proof that the gun control doesn't work because you have almost a quarter, half of a half, of all of the mass shootings with
compared
the
to
illegal.
77%.
Right, yeah, of course, right. But the fact of the matter is, again, and you want to know something else? Every school shooting is carried out in a gun-free zone. All of them. So actually, gun control is present for every single school shooting that's ever happened in the history of ever, because they all happen in a gun-free zone. But when somebody walked into that school, they didn't say, "Whoa, I can't bring my gun in here." It didn't stop them. There was nobody there to stop them. They brought their gun through the imaginary barrier of the gun-free zone, and they killed innocent people.
They could have been stopped if they never got the assault rifle in the first place.
If they
But
didn't
that
get the
brings
assault
us-
rifle, they would have used something else.
Exactly. Right? I mean, like, if a person is deranged enough to commit the crime,
If they had to use a substitute, they would have had to use something like
And-
a
and
pistol
again-
with 12 rounds. That's a
and
lot
again-
less deadly.
well, they still would have
Wait,
committed
no,
the crime.
pistol with 12
People
rounds is not a lot less deadly. 45% of all homicide in this country is committed by handguns. They're easily concealed. They're more easily concealable, and they have less
Shootings are
recoil.
mostly committed with assault rifles.
I don't even know if that's true, but it doesn't change the fact that the underwhelming minority of violence in general in this country is carried out with rifles. Almost none of it. Again, you're more likely to be stabbed, kicked to death, or hit with a blunt object and killed than you are to be shot and killed with a rifle.
It's more preventable with rifles. It's not with handguns. People are always going to be able to get handguns.
Explain to me how it's preventable. If you tomorrow outlawed anything besides a handgun, okay? If a person wants to go obtain a choice of weapon to commit a school shooting, what is going to actually stop them from actually doing that?
Burbeck.
You think some kind of restriction or reform?
With the handgun?
Okay, we ban all guns, right? And their choice is a high capacity weapon.
Thanks.
Are they gonna go obtain it illegally through the black market? Buy it off the streets? I understand it's gonna be harder, but they have the motivation to do it in the first. Not motivation's hard. They want to do it in the first place. So
You know what? You're admitting it's harder. So if we can make it harder for school shooters, I get it.
what I'm asking you, how do you do that?
Is this man bothering you guys?
How? Have you gone? I'm guessing you don't own a gun, right?
No.
Have you gone and with a
Yeah.
friend to see what it's like to obtain
No, I'm
a
not.
gun?
Nothing
Here in
recorded,
Georgia. Okay. What is the process like?
Yeah.
yeah, we can
There's no cameras over there.
Well, no, you don't just walk in, grab a water bottle and walk out.
I'm sure they already did the background
I was
check.
gonna ask you about.
They didn't do a background check beforehand, right? He went in, he said, I want to buy a gun. It's a whole process that goes through it, including a background check. And we're in Georgia, where there's not too many gun restrictions whatsoever. So the process is actually
But, like,
really
I feel
hard
like
to
one,
obtain a
you shouldn't
gun.
be
Sure, you can walk out in 30 minutes and get a gun. I think it should be in 5 minutes, like Cam said. But the reality of it is that you still haven't explained to me any sort of gun reform, like any additional gun reform that you want to institute that prevents this from happening in the first place.
I love guns.
And I just want to say, do we have a line behind? Are you guys asking questions? Okay. We'll do like about 2 more minutes. All right? Fair enough.
Okay. So, what was his opinion on guns? Just they should be restricted?
I believe in the Second Amendment, but I think there should be more reform.
So, more background checks?
Yeah, more extensive background checks.
More extensive background checks. Okay. So, how more extensive can we go?
We need to go into mental illness. Any possible.
Yeah, mental illness. Yeah, sure. I totally agree with you. If you have a diagnosed mental illness and you have schizophrenia or something, yeah. I don't think, you should just be able to walk in and buy a gun.
Violent beliefs such as domestic violence should not be allowed to buy a gun.
What do you mean by that? Like words, or are you talking about
Domestic
actual,
violence,
like just
violence.
beating
If you have
people
a
up?
If you have any history of violence like that, you should not be allowed to own a firearm because that's a big indicator.
Yeah, I mean, if you have if you're beating your wife and you've gone to jail for it, I mean, I believe that's what, a felony? No, like
Felony, probably.
Yeah, so if you have a felony, yeah, you can't get a gun, and you should not get a gun if you have a felony. So, yeah, I would agree with you. But I mean, I have 4 guns. I have an AK-47. I have, a bunch of other ones. And, I had to go through a background check. I've never committed a crime. I've never even been pulled over my entire life. Never punched somebody. Super, non-violent. Now, I've never been physically punched. Now, I don't know if I could tell you if I would fight back. I probably would, because, it's my right to fight back if someone's physically harming me. But when it comes down to guns, I feel like I agree with you on a lot of things, but yeah, like for political beliefs, a lot of people like to say, hey, like, if this guy has an opinion I don't agree with, you shouldn't have a gun. I feel like that's a very, very slippery slope, because you can, like red flag laws, for example.
Well, that's the problem that I have, right? I agree with you guys in the sense that mentally ill people shouldn't have access to guns. But one second, but who is going to decide that that person is mentally ill enough to the point of where you are going to deprive them of the Second Amendment? I have a problem with it because I don't really trust governmental institutions. And if you're going to tell me some psychologist will do it, what if this person inherently has a bias against the Second Amendment or you owning a gun? You will have somebody that is an activist essentially abusing the law to prevent individuals from obtaining a gun. We've seen that happen previously. That's why I'm against red flag laws. Hypothetically, it's a good idea. I agree with you guys. But there's just so much room for abuse for somebody to arbitrarily come and decide that you have a mental illness and deprive you of your rights. I want you to think about that in terms of due process as well. Somebody can come in and decide that you're mentally ill completely and we'll deprive you of all of your due process rights. That's the same thing with the Second Amendment.
Yeah, well, I would agree with you there, yes. But if you have an actual like extreme case of mental illness, taking drugs and shit, yeah, you should not have
100%.
access to a gun. Now, what he's trying to say is like some doctor can misdiagnose you and then your rights are stripped away.
Yep.
Now, some people do have mental illness like depression. If you have depression, I feel like you should still have a gun as long as you're not suicidal. I mean, it's really up to some people. But
it's not my room
when
to
it comes
judge.
to like red flag laws specifically, your neighbor can say, hey, he has a mental illness. I mean, I've seen him lie about him. I've seen him do this to his wife. I've seen him yell at his wife. Marriages, you get into fights, And if you hear yelling, I don't feel like that's a problem or a thing that you should be able to take away some of his rights.
Yeah.
Now, like in Houston, Dan Crenshaw was in support of, red flag laws. Red flag laws are ridiculous because if I don't like somebody's political opinion, if I walked outside with my MAGA hat on and went in my car and my neighbor saw it, didn't like my political opinion, lie to the cops, red flag laws say cops can break into your house and steal your guns and take them from you on the spot with no due process at all. That's ridiculous.
For a year.
I haven't heard that happen, but you mentioned slippery slope, right?
That's Florida.
Let me just say that we can have things that are more concrete. So if, let's say, for example, if somebody says, before they get a gun, they're just flat out say that if they get a gun, they're going to go up and kill people. Do you think that those people immediately, regardless of whatever they try to say to,
are you going to be able to judge that? How are you going to be able to determine that?
Yes, if somebody says that they're going to kill people, they shouldn't be allowed to get a gun.
I agree. They say I'm going to go kill. They say I'm going to go kill people, right? Where do they say this? On their social media posts? Right. So there's proof. There's proof.
There's proof that they say something, that they're going to do something.
That's absolute proof.
And that's enough to restrict an individual in numerous states to actually be able to possess a gun.
That's literally, I mean, those are threats against somebody's life. That's illegal in and of itself.
Yeah.
So
you go to jail. I don't know what to tell you.
You go to jail. I mean, that's basically it.
And if somebody misses that, that's the FBI. That's the state, like GBI here, right? They're responsible for that. And we go back to the social contract. I give up some individual liberties in order for the government to provide me back public safety.
Wait, hold on. I don't want to be here too long. I have one more thing I want to ask you guys.
All right, because some people are melting behind. I'm kidding. I see, dog. Hey, listen, I melted 2 hours ago.
What are your thoughts on billionaires?
What do you think about billionaires?
I don't think they should exist.
Why?
Because it's selfish. Nobody needs that much money.
So what are you going to do about it? What if a person started in affordable housing, made us all the way up, built a successful company, and now is a billionaire? He went from his mom making $2,000 a month to now he's making billions. Are you going to take that money from him?
No, there should be a cap, so he would never be able to get that much money. I don't think a reasonable cap would be $1 billion.
Okay, so let's think about this. if you cap my ability to grow, what is going to happen with research, development, initiatives?
I'm saying individually for people, you shouldn't have to have more than one.
What would have happened if you restricted Jeff Bezos from growing his Amazon business to where it is today?
Like I said, that's a business. I'm talking about for individuals. He should be allowed to invest in his business as much as he wants.
I'm sorry, you're talking about generational wealth being passed down? Right, because the only way that somebody becomes a billionaire is either they're passed that money down or they create it.
It's new money versus old money is what it is.
They should either they should be able to get money personally to a certain point, and the rest of that money has to be invested into their business.
Okay. So what's the wealth cap? What would you say? What's your wealth cap?
Like a billion. $1 billion.
1 billion. So you do think that billionaires should exist? 1 billion.
No, billion's a point where it shouldn't exist.
Okay. If you hit a billion, you are a billionaire. So personally, like Jeff Bezos, he gives a lot of money to charity every year. He does a lot. Obviously, I mean, I feel like you're coming at a point of jealousy because people are billionaires, and I don't believe that to be inherently wrong. Now, I'm a Christian.
Especially if they earned it themselves.
I'm a Christian. It says
you can't earn $1 billion.
You can't earn $1 billion.
I'm sorry, what is Amazon?
Elon Musk. He's earned $1 billion. He's innovated the entire car industry. I mean,
Workers are earning that money for him.
no. So he's taking all the risk. He's taking all the risk. So some guy that's working in an Amazon factory, if Amazon goes bankrupt, he's fucked. Okay? That worker might lose his job. He can always get another job, but that he's taking all the risk. He's going to be losing billions. He's going to be losing all his money. So he's taking all the risk. Why should a worker get all the reward for that? Are you like what did you say, socialist?
So we know the employer has all the power. The worker doesn't really have any power in the situation, just because they can go get a new job.
I mean, yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we should take the billions to the billion. That shouldn't mean that we should take the billions to the person that created the company in the first place. Shouldn't disperse that money to the workers. You already provided them with a livable wage. You may disagree that it's a livable wage. That's fine. But he signed the contract. Nobody's forcing him to take that money.
The minimum wage federally is like $7.25 an hour.
Yeah. Do you know what is the minimum wage at Amazon? It's $25 an hour. So just put boxes up on the shelf. Now imagine how much drivers are being paid, right?
I can tell you it's more than that.
What is?
They don't just put boxes on shelves. I don't know.
No, I'm talking about the people that just do or what is it called? The people that work in the factory or whatever.
Yeah, one of my friends has worked at an Amazon factory before, and robots do majority of the work. Actually, they're doing. They are literally just putting boxes up and doing that.
Yeah.
They're earning like what, $25 an hour? I would take that. I would take that deal any day. And again, they signed the contract. It's not like you're forcing them to work there. Now, I'm not an anarcho-capitalist like a lot of people would say and be like, okay. Anarcho-capitalism is basically, it goes too far in that direction. I don't know. It's ridiculous. We should swap. We should swap.
We'll swap and we'll go to the next conversation.
Let's go get another person. All right, come on.
How you doing? What's going on, man?
I was just trying to say,
nice
I appreciate
David.
y'all. I watched your videos. I watched both of y'all's videos, but I follow you too. So
oh, sweet.
I know, me coming out and saying thanks and whatever. I know some people might not agree, but
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't bother me. So I mean,
we really
appreciate y'all. Yeah, I just appreciate y'all. I just want to say that. I waited. I was like, might as well just wait just to say thanks and everything. But I was telling Cam, I drove like 30 or 45 minutes out just to see what's
dude,
up.
What?
Nice.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's nice, dude. Whatever.
I don't want to dox you, but where are you?
Close to like Marietta.
Oh, nice.
Area. So it's not like too bad, but it was because of traffic. Oh, okay, yeah. So it was only because traffic. Usually it's like a 30-minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad, but.
So do you have anything that you would say you disagree slightly on with us?
He's a friend of ours. I don't think so.
No, I disagree with you on
I'm trying to
something.
take a little bit, but I mean, I love everything you guys say and just preach about it. And
thank you.
We appreciate it. So what's your name?
Arturo.
Yeah.
Nice. Shout out to Arturo.
Yeah, I know I have a lot of far left or like liberal friends that don't agree with what I say, but I'm still cool with them. I don't mind.
There you go.
Some of them did try to cut me off over just all I did is post like a RIP Charlie.
That's crazy.
And they tried to cut me off for it. I'm like,
yeah, I knew Charlie for a little bit there. He was awesome.
Yeah, I seen you take photos. When did you meet him? I saw some photos.
I was like 17 years old, and he was He was just a cool guy. Like, I got to hold his coffee for him. We had conversations before. Like, I used to make memes for him. But yeah, no, it sucks when people are celebrating somebody that really didn't do anything wrong. So.
One of my friends, like ex or whatever, like their ex or like some people that I've seen on Instagram that I know. I didn't want to like unfollow, but I saw like they were posting some wild memes and like nasty stuff, and I'm like, I mean, I've been seeing everybody on like Twitter, like not doxing people, but like people are getting fired. So obviously, you know,
I think that's a good thing.
Right.
I think it's a good thing. I think it's a great thing. I mean, if there's freedom of speech, but not freedom of consequences. So if you say something super shitty, somebody has the right to, you know, report you, and then, you know, your boss has the option. Your boss might be liberal and agree with you. But I mean, if you're like celebrating literally someone's death,
like public stories and stuff.
And Charlie's different because it wasn't just he died of old age or he had a heart attack or he was politically assassinated, much too similar to like Martin Luther King.
Yeah,
like
it's going to have a great impact.
Yeah,
I believe so.
I mean, this is the whole reason why we're doing the tour is to honor him and to show that we're fearless. We're fearless.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we're not scared. I mean, they tried to silence us, and we're still talking.
Yeah, and I'm not afraid to come up and say like I appreciate Sean, but that's it. You know, I appreciate you guys. And,
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much for coming out today. Thank you.
I'll probably stand by and watch that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh shit. Y'all hear me? Is it working?
Yeah.
Try not to hold it because we have other mics on there. But get close to it though. No.
My topic is immigration. What's y'all thoughts on immigration?
Well, tell us what's your thoughts about immigration. And let's actually divide this into actual proper terms.
I'm pro-immigration.
But let me ask you this: there's legal immigration. Like I legally immigrated to this country. I followed the legal process.
Absolutely.
And then there's a ton of people, 10 million people in the last 4 years who came into the country illegally.
Absolutely.
Do you support illegal immigration?
Do I support illegal immigration? No, not really. But I feel as if that when it comes to illegal immigration, it's not being equitably condemned. It's not being equally condemned. There are a bunch of white people from Russia, Ukraine, Poland, and nobody ever says anything about them coming.
Well, here you go. I'll surprise you.
Yeah.
I fully condemn anybody that enters the country illegally, regardless of their skin color, where they come from, anything like that, right? You break the law, you break U.S. Code 1325, which is illegal entry to the United States. You should be deported. I don't think we disagree. What's up,
Lex? Like literally, yeah.
But my thing is, when it comes to illegal immigration, it's a large emphasis on Mexicans, and I want to know why y'all have a large emphasis.
Well, because they're the majority. They're the majority of illegal immigrants in America right now. And the thing is, they're coming over here with coyotes. You know what a coyote is?
Yeah.
Not the animal.
Yeah.
Not the animal. So these people will grab children, you know, immigrant children, illegal immigrant children, bring them across the border, saying, "Hey,
they're born.
Yeah, like they're my kids, and I need them here." So they abuse the immigration system. They get like a court date 5 years away, and then they sit in America and they take benefits from us. And the thing is, it also lowers wages. It lowers wages by a big time. So, if if I wanted to go work on a farm, and there's 10 illegal immigrants that'll do it for $5, but I'm an American, I will take like $15 to $20 an hour to do hard labor. They're gonna pay that illegal immigrant, and I'm not gonna get the job.
Okay, well then isn't that the problem of your businesses rather than it is the immigrants?
Yeah, the businesses should be punished as well. I mean, and the problem is like they're doing under the table stuff. I mean, I'm from Texas. I mean, I've lived around illegal immigration my entire life. So I mean, I see the impact, and it's like when you go to like Walmart, and Walmart will hire these people, and you see like Walmart should be a job for somebody that's just getting out of high school, saving for college, not for an illegal immigrant. McDonald's should be somebody that's saving up for college, not an illegal immigrant.
Yeah, but what if you have, especially rural America, which is a dying industry, soybeans, corn, a dominant monopoly industry. We used to produce peaches. We used to produce peanuts. We used to produce apples.
How did America survive? How did America survive before like the mass illegal immigration? We've had these people. It's not that it's dying out. I guarantee you, there's like 1 million freaking Americans that are willing to do it for the right wage.
Yeah. But like I'm saying, as things become more commercialized, globalized, production increase, which increases the what? The demand of labor and so forth. It's not like how it is in 1850s where 5 farmers can make the quota produce to be sold and exported. Nowadays, to compete against international nations, you need to produce a large amount of what? Peaches, apples, corn, things like that. And in these businesses that are also struggling to compete internationally and also struggling to survive, they have no choice but to what? Rely on what? Illegal immigration. And they get illegal immigration through what? Giving out vouchers to enemy countries, foreign countries. They give out vouchers, business vouchers to Venezuela. They gave out vouchers across the border to Mexico, to Chinese people, to leave and take skilled workers from their country and implement them and create farms. So you're going to kill your own industry, your own agriculture industry for big monopolistic industries like corn and soybeans.
So you should oppose the illegal immigration, right?
Why should I oppose it?
Why are you in favor of it? Let me ask you this: are you justifying lower wages in America?
I mean, I'm not justifying lower wages. I'm just telling you the reality that that American businessmen,
why is that the reality?
The ones who vote for the Republican Party, the rural America, as you can know, that's the most conservative basis in America. We can vote for that, absolutely.
Can I just counter you real quickly?
Yeah, counter me real quick.
Okay, so Kamala Harris accepted the most donations from big companies. Big companies are the ones that historically love cheap labor. How can they give cheap labor to illegal immigrants? So if they can flood the places with illegal immigration, which is exactly what happened in the last 8 years, you're going to end up in a situation where you don't have to increase wages for Americans. You end up just paying low wages, right? So I'll ask you again, in the favor of having low cost for tomatoes, whatever the case, are you in favor of paying illegal immigrants under the table low wages?
Am I in favor of if the immigrants accept it? Remember y'all say jobs and labor itself is selling your labor is a free choice. That's free America right there. So
but
why are you upset?
What's not legal is to enter the country illegally, 1 second, and then for companies to hire those illegal immigrants. So we should do everything we can to deport illegal immigrants while also penalizing the big companies for hiring them. Hyundai in Georgia, what did they just got caught with in South Georgia? 300 illegal immigrants. There's 300 illegal immigrants working at Hyundai. Hyundai has billions. Why are they hiring illegal immigrants?
Those immigrants are what you call expats.
Why are they were all illegal. That's why ICE detained them.
ICE detained people when they called. There was a phone call about
1 second.
Saying that
the reason they were there is because Hyundai was able to hire them under the table, pay them illegally, very low, and now they got caught. What is the problem? The problem is you have illegal immigrants who will do that in the country, and then you have big companies that will do that. So let's solve those problems.
To not digress, I'm going to say what you're saying with Hyundai is true. Not to digress.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is with illegal immigration, I'm saying that America, the small businesses are the main ones taking in illegal immigrants. Big businesses,
small businesses. So the smoothie shop that's around the corner right here, did they hire any illegal immigrants?
Let me land real quick. Let me land real quick. When it comes to urban areas, like you was about to say with the smoothie shop, urban areas have a lot of excess labor reserves. That's your unemployment group. They have the highest, urban areas are more likely to have higher unemployment levels than rural areas. Why? Because labor is not as abundant in rural areas as it is in urban areas. So when it comes down to the situation that happens with what you call it?
You're going too hard.
My bad.
Let me just bring this back to the original claim, right? Because we're pretty much wrapping up. We both agree illegal immigration is terrible for our country, right? For various purposes, whether it's breaking our law, whether it's for labor situations.
I can't agree with that.
I thought we started the whole debate that illegal immigration is bad.
That's true. But you're saying that it's harmful to the nation. How? When America...
Okay, if I have somebody that just...
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, how is it harmful to the nation? I mean, when drugs are pouring across the border through illegal routes and by illegals, that's a problem, okay? When cartel members are going across the border, that's a problem. We need to stop all illegal immigration because if we accept one, then all of them are going to want to come. So when Biden was president, there was a shit ton of them going through, in caravans, like thousands and thousands and thousands, because Biden was not strong on immigration and he allowed it to happen. And the craziest thing, it was like 400,000 illegal migrant children. They were told by the government to call them if they needed help by the Biden administration, and all of those calls went unanswered. So once they get into the United States, they don't care, because the one thing that Democrats want to do is have these people vote. That's why they encourage no voter ID laws and a bunch of other ridiculous stuff. So if you're importing immigrants that you are giving free crap to, they are going to want to vote for you. So it's importing leftist values because they will vote for the person that says, I'm going to give you a free lunch. And there's nothing is free. We're paying for that out of our own tax dollars.
The Hispanic community has been one of the most supportive communities of President Trump.
Yes, legal Hispanics, yes.
Not legal.
Legal.
A lot of them unlegal.
Name me one illegal immigrant that has came out and said, I love Donald Trump and it's the best thing in the world.
How are you supposed to know? That's
Okay, yeah, but you're okay. You have the burden of proof. Okay, you have to tell me. You just said there's lots of illegals that like Trump. You got to tell me, where is this?
I'm a legal immigrant.
He's legal. You said illegal.
Guess what I hate the most?
What?
Illegal immigrants. Not because of a person, but because for the simple fact that I went through the process of legally migrating to the country. I followed all the rules, and then I see somebody skip in line, break the laws, and then get get free flights, get free food, get free housing, free everything, and then they get a court date that's 5 years later, then they never have to show up.
And in the free hotels, the funniest thing is the free hotels were like 4 to 5 star hotels in New York. In New York, I wish Americans would get good stuff. But again, I'm not for free. I'm not for free anything.
Who do you think is funding those hotels?
The government. It was the government. It was the government.
What do you think is
New York City? Actually.
It was the government. It was the government.
It was New York City at first. It was New York City had to take $6 billion from their budget. Billion. And then they said, man, we can't do this. We're going to run out of necessary programs. So guess what they did? They went to the federal government. They went to Biden, and Biden gave them money. So that's what's going to continue to happen. Well, I got him stopped, actually.
My thing is, what I'm telling you is, illegal immigration, whether you like it or not, it is the backbone of the American economy. Small farmers.
Here's what I would say. That there was a time in this nation's history where the backbone of agriculture was slavery. With that being said, when we abolished slavery, it crippled the economy of the South. Despite the fact that it crippled the economy of the South, I still think that we should have abolished slavery despite the economic repercussions of doing so.
Absolutely.
So I think we should do the same thing with illegal immigration.